Good evening, everyone. Welcome. The first order of business, I will do introductions. On my right, starting on my right, is James Campbell, board member, Jerry Wolbert, board member, John Buscarello, board member and treasurer, and Jerry's assistant treasurer. James is assistant secretary. Yvonne Martin Katsula, who is the secretary. Doug Simmons, second vice president. John Carter, first vice president. Dan Lowenstein, board member. Andy Ackerman, board member. And Maitri Singh, board member. Behind that row are some very important people that provide us with great assistance. First, starting on my right, is Dean Roberts, our attorney, representing the law firm of Norris, McLaughlin, and Marcus. Then comes Mindy Eisenberg-Stark, who does our financials, and her general manager, Anthony DeRue. And on my left is Dawn Dickstein. Her title is Managing Director, City Line Division. She comes to our board meetings regularly, and I speak to her regularly. Next to her is Sabrina Bowman, our assistant general manager. And last is Russell Germain, our general manager, who I will invite up now to conduct the second piece of business of the evening.
Good evening, everyone. I apologize for the delay. The affidavit of mailing of notice of annual meetings of stockholders of Morningside Heights Housing Corporation. I, Russell W. Germain, being duly sworn, deposes and says that I am employed by First Service Residential in the position of General Manager at the Morningside Heights Housing Complex. On April 17, 2014, an annex notice of annual meeting of stockholders of Morningside Heights Housing Corporation to be held Tuesday, May 13, 2014, was duly mailed together with a letter to stockholders and proxy annex thereto to each and every stockholder of record of Morningside Heights Housing Corporation as of April 17, 2014, at his or her address as it appears on the stock books of the corporation, by depositing a true copy of the same securely enclosed in an envelope at the United States Post Office located at 365 West 125th Street, New York City. Thank you.
Thank you. I found my pen. Okay. Next order of business is I invite Barbara Williams-Henry up, Chair of the Elections Committee, to announce if there's a quorum. Barbara?
Thank you. We do have a quorum of 560. That's 560. Thank you.
Barbara will be back in a few minutes. We now have the approval of the May 7, 2013 minutes. Yvonne Martin Katsula.
At a shareholder request, there is language to amend the minutes from the annual meeting of May 7th. You all received them on May 6th of this year. And so in the motion, I will read the language for amending the minutes, okay? Move. Sorry, is that better? I'm sorry, I didn't realize. I'm not as tall as everybody else, I guess. I said that there was a request by a shareholder to amend the minutes, and the language for amending the minutes will be read into the motion to approve the minutes. Moved that the minutes of the MHHC annual meeting of May 7, 2013 be approved with the amendment of the section entitled Questions and Statements from Shareholders on page 10 with the following bullets. Question was asked why the president did not respond to emails sent by the chair of the workshop. Question was asked why the president did not ask the chair of the workshop to write the report for the annual report. Question was asked of the president why the chair of the amenities committee wrote the report dealing with the workshop without contacting the chair of the workshop. Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. minutes are approved.
Yeah, we circulated.
Sorry?
That page will be circulated.
Yes, by the way, yes. The page that is amended, which was the last page, 9 and 10, of the minutes will be circulated as required by the bylaws to all shareholders. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We are now up to Barbara Williams-Henry to present the slate of the people running, and it's the election committee has approved.
Good evening again. I'm Barbara Williams-Henry. I'm here to present this year's slate of candidates for both the Board of Directors and the Elections Committee. Before I do, are there any nominations from the floor? Hearing none, I'm pleased to present this year's candidates for the Board of Directors and the Elections Committee. Presenting this year's slate of candidates for the Board of Directors: Detta All, James Campbell, Chi Chawan, Michael Dimon, Tova Frankus, Madeline Kraft, Stuart Linder, Daniel Lowenstein, Maitri Singh, and Gabriel Suleiman. For the Elections Committee: Edith Acosta, Marjay Tishini, and Jana Titus. Thank you.
I declare the ballot box open. You may now vote for the rest of the meeting, so just take your time. All right? So to move on with the agenda, our next item of business is a financial report from John Buscarello, Treasurer.
Good evening, everyone. How's that good? So I think it was a very good year for the co-op. First Service Residential continues to manage our finances in their central office, sending out the maintenance bills, also preparing all the financial statements and special reports as needed by the Finance Committee or as requested by the Board of Directors. I know there have been a few glitches here and there, and we continue to work to iron out any of the problems that may have come up. The Finance Committee is actively meeting every month, and Sabrina and Russell do attend those meetings. At those meetings, we carefully review all finances and budgets. We do a 6-month review, an annual budget, and basically we try to stay on top of issues that may be facing us financially. One thing, for instance, this year was a very difficult winter. In January, we had a lot of overtime. We had issues with salt, the cost of salt going up. And so we can jump on that. We can look at the overtime and we can address it. And Russell was very good at managing that and try to bring those costs quickly under control. So we're very much on top of things like that. And we're also really benefiting. We've been under management by First Service for over 2 years now, and we're really benefiting from their buying power. They can really go to certain locations and buy things at a much cheaper rate, and we are seeing the effects of that year in and year out, so thank you. We are currently waiting the water bill. I don't know if everyone knows that we have been receiving estimated water bills from the city for over 2 years now, and it took a great deal of effort and Larry reaching out to one of our, what was it, assemblyman? Councilman. And so we finally got in place, the water bill is being read, and we're going to see how that may or may not affect what we've been paying for the last 2 years. Our operating income was approximately $15.9 million and expenses of $14.5 million. And the great news, we had a surplus last year of $1.38 million. The Board of Directors voted to put that money into the reserve fund. There had been a motion on the books a few years ago. The board followed that motion, and all of that surplus is being put into the reserve fund. And along with the $1.7 million in flip taxes, we have a fair amount of money going into the reserve fund, which is great because we have a lot of capital projects that we have been looking to do, And the reserve fund was kind of short when we looked at all the capital projects that we were intending to do. So we're put over $3 million into the reserve fund, or just about $3 million reserve fund. And I'm sure all of you saw your maintenance bills last month, and you're probably I hope you were very happy. We had a very large rebate, the STAR rebate and the co-op abatement. Most of you probably didn't pay a maintenance charge last month because the rebate was very large. It was very large for a couple of reasons. One, there were 2 months of rebates that were put together, May 2013 and January 2014. In addition, last year, the city required people to recertify, and they became very strict. Some people may have not recertified, but also you had to prove that your apartment was the primary residence. This kicked out a lot of people. So there was a larger pool of cash that the city pulled from, and therefore we ended up getting larger abatements. We still have arrears of over $1 million, but I want to put that into context a little bit. The top 5 people in arrears are in arrears for $500,000. So the top 10 people in arrears, the total accumulation of those arrears is $750,000. And the board is actively pursuing those 10 apartments. We have a number of apartments where people have died, there wasn't a beneficiary, it's very, very complicated, it goes through the court system, it takes a long time to get through that process, but when the apartment is sold, that money will come back to us. We're very confident that in the next couple of years, we will start to see that number really shrink down. If you remember last year, the arrears was over 1.3 million. And we're starting to get to such a point where we're going to have to put a line item to the budget. We've got it down significantly, and we're hoping to continue that process. And we're very aggressive with late fees. If you're late 1 month, it's a $50 fine, and then once you start becoming into arrears the second month, it's a $100 fine, so monthly. So it adds up quickly. The reserve fund currently has approximately, at the end of 2013, $12.2 million, $7.7 million in our bank, and Wells Fargo is still holding $4.4 million. And lastly, we had a maintenance increase in the beginning of this year of 3.65%, which was the lowest maintenance increase since 2009. So thank you.
Thank you, John, for that very informative report. Our next speaker will be Mindy Eisenberg-Stark, our accountant, CPA, CFE. Mindy?
Good evening. My name is Mindy Eisenberg-Stark. I'm the auditor for the building. The Morningside Heights is on a calendar year, so the financial statements run January through December. You should have all received a copy of that report, and I know it's contained in the booklet that there were copies of out here, and I understand the property received them about a week and a half ago. I think that John hit a lot of the highlights that I was going to discuss. I think the important thing is that there are many reasons for having the financial statements, aside from the fact that they're required by your bylaws. The financial statements are used for the shareholders to get an idea of how the building's finances are doing. They are used by prospective purchasers to make decisions about whether or not this is a viable complex and whether it's a good investment and whether they should move in. And in addition, it's used by banks when they're looking at extending financing. I think that you can all feel very comfortable that the financial statements reflect a healthy co-op. There are large dollars in reserves, and there is an operating profit. You refinanced your mortgage in, I believe it was 2011, so that financing is in place and we're not now dealing with, you know, the uncertainties of interest rates and the marketplace. And if you look at the income statement in detail, what you will see is that other than the fact that utilities swung downward due to the large number of improvements that were put into the heating plant in the last few years, the board and management was able to maintain expenses from 2012 to 2013 at a very similar level. So those costs are clearly being managed well. And as you know, John mentioned, there's a very active finance committee that works very closely with management and the board to oversee those finances. In terms of other items to note, the fuel surcharge that was eliminated for 2013, it was rolled into the maintenance. There were less late fees in 2013 as a result of an ongoing project to, you know, go after those shareholders who were going into arrears. And as John had mentioned, there's been a very, very active and aggressive campaign on those unit owners that were significantly in arrears. The biggest thing to note, as I mentioned, is the utilities. Last year, including the extra utilities for the temporary boilers, the utility bills were approximately $4 million. This year they were only $3 million, and we do know that November and December were very cold. I don't know what 2014 will bring. We've had a very cruel and very cold winter, but all of the improvements that were done to the heating plant are starting to really pay off and resulted in a very healthy bottom line for last year. There was also some real estate tax refunds. You had a successful certiorari, so that there were some real estate tax refunds, as well as the assessments on an ongoing basis were lowered. What a certiorari proceeding is the your real estate taxes are based on two functions. Function one is the assessed value of the property, and function two is the rate that the city charges on an annual basis. So what buildings do, as a matter of course, is they protest the assessed value by, you know, showing financials and looking at comps and other items. So in 2013, you were successful not just in lowering the assessment, but also in being able to recoup some taxes that had been paid in prior years. So that's an important piece, because we are seeing large real estate tax increases in many of our other properties. So it was terrific that you were able to, you know, that you were able to be successful in that certiorari protest. I think that that's really the highlights of the financials. And again, as I said, you can all rest assured, and I think you can feel comfortable that the corporation is healthy, is sound, and the financial statements to any reader look very, very positive. So thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you, Mindy, for that very fine presentation. Our next speaker will be Russell Germain, General Manager of Morningside Heights Housing Corporation.
Good evening all once again. For the past 2 years, I have had the distinct pleasure and honor of servicing this iconic Morningside Gardens community as your FirstService Residential General Manager. I've been supported by your site team of Sabrina Bowman, our Senior Property Manager, Lisa Tucker, and Tawana Lindsay, our Assistant Property Managers, and executive support from Dawn Dickstein, our Managing Director, and Keith Werner, President of the City Line Division. Building upon a solid foundation we established in our first year, we continued on our path towards bringing all residents a higher level of service. through our rapport with the board of directors, the committees of the board, and administrative and operational departments. In addition to the day-to-day management, we were able to utilize the services of FS Energy's energy aggregation program, as well as FS Financial support and guidance on interest rates, elimination of bank fees, and protection of your capital reserve as an added value from our professional network. We have literally started to see the light from the removal of the sidewalk bridging throughout the property, with total completion of the Local Law 11 facade roof project finally coming to an end this year. The process for the new lighting for both indoor common areas and the outdoor campus, localized area landscape beautification, as well as plans for an improved sanitation area are some of the most notable capital projects at various stages of implementation. Less visually noticeable, but no less important to the shareholders' way of life, have been improvements to the heating system, providing many with what has been called the best heating season in years by many long-term residents. Further improvements to the heating system were recently approved, but the benefit may not be fully realized until the winter of 2014. The one remaining project started that has yet to be brought to full completion is the stainless steel chimney. The required repairs were purposely postponed until the end of the official heating season of 2013-2014 and will be completed before the next year's heating season, ultimately to minimize the interruption of service to the residents. We have established an environment of teamwork across all operating departments, to include the Departments of Public Safety under the leadership of Captain Montalvo, the Engineering and Maintenance Department under the leadership of Thomas Gerbino and Gil Melendez, the Garage with Jacques Jean-Baptiste and Frank Aguilar and Karina Cava managing our Sales and Transfer Department. In support of our mutually agreed upon vision, Captain Montalvo is progressively moving the Department of Public Safety towards a more resident-friendly, service-oriented department, while still providing the appropriate levels of security to maintain the comfort and safety expected and deserved by all residents and guests on our campus. Our Sales and Transfers Department, led by Frank Aguilar and his assistant Karina Cava, continued on their path of strong sales and support with 39 closings for the 2013 calendar year, a truly outstanding number of sales. Significant improvements have been achieved in our engineering department, spearheaded by Thomas Gerbino, supported by Gil Melendez and Rosalind Echeverria. New customer service procedures and protocol to include follow-up communications upon completion of an apartment repair have been established. New cleaning routines have also been established, as well as a welcomed addition to the department in the form of a new grounds handyman position. New staff procedures have also been implemented for heating complaints, contributing to the significant energy savings that we did achieve during 2013. In addition to coming off of high energy costs associated with the temporary boilers required by the capital chimney project, our effort for improved heat system management procedures, coupled with the FS Energy Aggregation Program, which joined only in the last quarter of 2013, all significantly contributed to nearly $930,000 reduction of actual natural gas and oil expenses in 2013, as compared to the 2013 as per the audit performed by Mindy Stark. For the first time since at least 2005, our total operating expenses year to year have decreased by over $500,000. Through the efforts of many shareholders, most notably Skip Delano, who made the essential connections for management to bring New York City Department of Sanitation pilot composting program to Morningside Gardens. We have successfully implemented this program with the help and support of Grow NYC, David Hurd, who provided support and educational presentations to our community. I personally like to thank all shareholders who have participated in this groundbreaking program. In 2013, we were able to address a very serious rodent infestation in our greenhouse sanitation area with the installation of closed, sealed containers that now will become part of our future plans that will be incorporated into our sanitation area improvement beautification capital project. This was only made possible through our negotiations for lease concessions from our commercial tenant, Met Food. We have established an excellent working relationship with the board of directors, Donna, and the committees of the board by creating a partnership conducive to sharing of thoughts and ideas, thus moving the corporation towards a more unified and financially solvent community, a very strong benefit to both current and potential shareholders. My annual report would not be complete without the acknowledgement of two shareholders whose contributions to this community have been and will continue to be immeasurable. Ms. Sharon Lockhart Carter and Ms. Cynthia Rock. I personally thank you both for all of your hard work and contributions in restoration of our gardens and grounds and other endeavors. In closing, I'd like to acknowledge a long-term employee of 17 years, Pierre Jean Baptiste, who will be retiring next month, and I thank him for his service. Thank you for having me.
We're now going to have a presentation of awards. Vincent Montalvo, Captain Vincent Montalvo, please come up.
Thank you. The moment everyone's waiting for, I guess, right? I want to thank the board before I present this award, and thank you. I want to thank First Service Residential, who has worked with maintenance, public safety. I want to thank you, the shareholders, who have really helped us make this place what it is. We really focus on quality of life, and you guys are the main focus. So we're here every day doing our jobs for Morningside and for the best of quality of life. We have made a major improvement on linking our department with the New York City Police, and this year we have partnered up with the District Attorney's Office, where we're working in joint force to fight crimes. So that is definitely a major improvement, together with the force that we have already in Morningside as New York City Special Patrolman. So without further ado, I really want to thank our staff. Lieutenant Rodriguez is doing a hell of a job during the B tour, which is the morning tour, and all the other supervisors and the staff who reports here every day to do their work. This is one award that I want to give to Special Patrolman Eloy Rodriguez, who has announced his retirement after 11 great years that he's put in as service for Morningside residents. And he's very diligent, and I want to read what the award says. It says, the Morningside Heights Housing Corporation, Department of Public Safety, New York City Special Patrolman Eloy Rodriguez, batch number 2481. We'd like to thank you for your diligence, professionalism, and special care given to our prime residents during your 11 years of service. On behalf of this department and the residents who are grateful to your good work, we wish you a happy and healthy retirement. Thank you.
And Russell, I want to thank you for an outstanding general manager report. I never sleep at company. Our next order of business is the presentation of Honors and Awards Committee, and Detta Al is the chair of that committee.
coming. The Honors and Awards Committee is tasked with selecting a stockholder resident who has contributed significantly to the Morningside Gardens community and deserves special recognition. This recognition is based on volunteer service that has shown leadership, has yielded benefits to the community, has led to productive cooperation between neighbors, and has inspired and encouraged others to participate. This year, we received many nominations, and I want to thank this community for noticing your neighbors and noticing what they're doing and being grateful for their work and submitting nominations. So we had about 7 different people nominated, and then we had a couple people who received multiple nominations, and the committee did decide to stay with the tradition of giving one award. As much as I'd like to be here giving an award for every single person, and I do feel that each person who didn't get it this year, I am very confident that they will one by one get it in future years. So, about the person getting the award this year, this is someone who is an original shareholder who raised a family here and then began volunteering in the mid-90s and served on 3 different committees. Served on the Tenant Selection Committee, on the Long Range Planning Committee, and the Grounds Committee. She has actually 15 years of service on the Tenant Selection Committee and on the Grounds Committee, 6 years of those as chair of the Grounds Committee, and has 7 years of service on the Long Range Planning Committee. And the Tenant Selection Committee is an important committee. It shapes the future of Morningside Gardens as it selects our new tenants. And the work there, those meetings can be long, and they have to be attended with a quorum, or they can't be held. And you know, she attended diligently, she came prepared, she asked questions. And then on the Grounds Committee, you know, we're always struggling here under a tight budget, and under a tight budget, she did everything possible to keep the grounds maintained and looking good. And I know I was a liaison on the committee one year, and that particular year, I think we planted 6 new trees, and some trees were planted also in other years. And all of those trees are flourishing, and they're helping to replace many of the trees that were lost through storms. So, let me think. So, the sad part of the story, though, is that this particular person is currently in the hospital, and her husband also is with her there and cannot attend. So, I'm going to be giving this award to someone who spoke to her husband earlier and has some words to report from that. So this award is going to Rhoda Gruen, and I think we all do wish her well. And I think we all wish her, you know, a speedy recovery. And Tova Francis is the one who's been in touch with her husband and will receive the award on Rhoda's behalf.
Well, I wish Rhoda were here to accept her reward. I've worked with her for many years in all of those committees, and she was an outstanding member of all of them. To my mind, this is exactly the kind of a shareholder that for whom this award was established. Someone who is never hugging the heart, is never in the bright light, is never the center of anything, but is working diligently and without a staff for improving the quality of life of our community. Dr. George Gruen, her husband, was the committee tried to reach him so he can come to accept the award here. Shortly before I came to the meeting, he called me and requested that I should accept the award on her behalf and behalf of the family. He asked me to say thank you very much to the committee and to ask everybody to please keep praying for Rhoda that she will get very well very soon. Thank you.
Smile.
Thank you.
Just saw Rhoda yesterday walking around, so this is really shockingly sad news to me. Okay. All right, so it's that moment. It's my turn to present. So I want to welcome to Morningside Heights Housing Corporation Annual Shareholders Meeting. Welcome all of you. Donna Quiros, my administrative assistant. Donna Quiros, my administrative assistant, has researched how many of these meetings we have had, and it appears this is the 57th annual meeting of shareholders. Pretty impressive. Now, in the annual report, I think you all received a copy of this document? Okay. In the annual report, on pages 4 through 7, is a very extensive President's report. So at this time, I would like to take the opportunity to address the following items. I want to thank Captain Montalvo for all the great work he and the public safety staff have done in keeping our community a safe community. Their high visibility and quick response to every situation is greatly appreciated by all. I want to thank Thomas Tribino and his staff of Local 94 and 32BJ workers that have kept the corporation's public areas clean, electricity flowing, hot and cold water running, and our grounds looking clean and well kept. I want to thank Frank Aguilar and his staff for doing a great job of getting our apartments sold. Our vacancy rate has been reduced to a manageable number. I want to thank Donna Quiros for being absolutely the greatest. That covers a lot of categories. Without her, the president and the board would be hard-pressed to pursue their responsibilities. I want to thank Russell Germain and the management office team that has so effectively managed our corporation. And lastly, I want to thank the officers of the board for carrying out their fiduciary duties with great diligence. And I want to thank the chairs of each committee, some of whom you will hear from this evening, right after me, for their outstanding work this year. Because of the work done by the board and its committees, I was able to write the extensive report on pages 4 through 7 in the annual report. So, to continue, our first committee chairperson, Sharon Carter. Lockhart Carter. Thank you. Take your time, don't run downstairs.
I don't know how not to run there. Thank you so much. Good evening. It's good to see you. I wish there were more of you to see. But I think you all, they're tired because I'm very, very happy to say that over 75 of you came out to help us plant this past weekend. And if you've seen Building 6, you know that there were some people doing some really hard work. I want to thank you. I see members of the Grounds Committee and volunteers, past and present, and I want to thank you so much for all the work that you have done. I also want to thank a few other people. I want to say thank you to Cynthia Rock, who is the vice chair of the Grounds Committee, and there were a couple of days when I probably would not have gotten out of bed if it weren't for Cynthia calling me and saying, we've got to prune that bush. I want to thank Donna Quiros, who proofreads everything that I write. I will not send it out unless she has read it and gotten back to me. And I want to thank Tom Tribino and his staff, and Russell Germain, who shocked me because I hadn't read your report. I thank you so much for that honor. I really do. It's amazing. We have worked so hard together. And last but not least, I guess this is the year of public safety. The year of public safety. My brother Vinny, you all call him Captain Montalvo, but that's my brother Vinny, who gives us a public safety presence and makes sure that we are safe in our endeavors. Just to tell you a little bit about what Grounds is doing in my last 30 seconds, we are still working on Building 6. We did our clover seed today. We pulled up poison ivy in the playground. And we are meeting with Building 3 on, I believe, the 22nd perhaps, to plan for planting of Building 3. We are going to meet with Building 2 to continue the planning for what needs to be done still with Building 2 and check in with them. And I am hoping, we've already actually started meeting with a couple of folks from Building 4. Maria, you hear Maria do? She tracked me down, and on her birthday came to meet with our horticulturist. So we're working to at least get the planning started for Building 4, so please don't feel as if we've neglected you. And Building 5, we're just going to join hands around your building until the scaffold comes down, and maybe like the walls of Jericho, the scaffold will come down. We did notice that the final rail for the ceiling roof rail did go up today, so that's good news. So I just want to thank you all for how tremendous you've been, and MRHS and the Family Activities Committee, who has collaborated with us to beautify the grounds. Please keep pitching in. We need you desperately. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Our next speaker, next committee chairperson will be Jerry Wilbert, Policy and House Rules.
Hello, everybody. I think I'm going to move this up just a little bit because I'm one of the tall people. And I'm Jerry Wilbert, and I'm the chair of the Policy and House Rules Committee. And I live in Building 6, and I just want to say, I think Building 6 looks great now. So anybody who doesn't live in Building 6, make sure you walk down that sidewalk and you walk around our building. It looks great. Anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Policy and House Rules Committee. And the primary purpose of the committee by our bylaws is to assist the board of directors in excuse me, drafting policy recommendations. In the past year, we've done several things. The first thing mostly was to work with the Family Activities Committee to amend the rules for outdoor play in common areas. That was passed by the board in June of 2013, and then amended based on community input the very next month. One of the bigger jobs that we've been working on, though, is in vivos trusts, or inter vivos trusts is another name for these. For those who may not be so aware of them, what they are is an estate planning vehicle, and they were they're a trust that's created within a person's lifetime. So sometimes you may hear of them called as living trusts. They provide for the orderly distribution of assets upon a person's death, and they assist in avoiding probate. And probate is the process of distributing deceased assets, which is done in a court. This is a public process which some people do not want their family to go through, and it can be very time-consuming and costly. So in vivos trusts help to assure that assets will go to the intended recipients in a timely and private manner. So why are we working with this? And it would be because we've had multiple requests from shareholders to allow this practice. And this is one that Morningside Gardens did allow briefly in the past. So the committee's main objective is to avoid the potential for financial harm to the corporation through the through the allowance of in vivos trusts. And secondly, to maintain the corporation's full control over who may become a resident of Morningside Gardens. So what some people would be afraid that if someone became the beneficiary of a trust, and maybe one of the lawyers will tell me if I'm using the wrong word, but basically that if somebody came in, that they would think that they would be able to move into Morningside Gardens right away, and they would be treated like anybody else that was going to buy an apartment in Morningside Gardens, and would have to be approved by the Tenant Selection Committee. The committee's worked in collaboration with legal counsel, as trusts can be very complicated legal entities. We expect that work will resume very soon in the coming year, in the board's new term coming up, I guess tomorrow. So the other main project that we've been working on is a new edition of the House Rules. Our current edition of the House Rules was published in 2003. There have been multiple amendments and additions to it since that time, since those 11 years when it was published, 11 years ago when it was published. So we hope to publish a new edition in the coming year and have it available both in print and electronic form for all cooperators. So finally, I'd like to thank the board and the committee members for their hard work. And I thought I would just mention the committee members. I see a couple of them around here, one right there in the back, Linda Aristando, Doris Bernhardt, Marcia Duffy is up here, Elizabeth Horowitz, I saw Tatiana Lakeman somewhere, but I don't see her now, and Iona Ludi. So thank you, and I look forward to working with the committee next year.
Thank you, Jerry. Our next report will be by the Chair of the Systems and Structures Committee, Roland Hiller.
Excuse me, I just want to take a selfie. Okay. Hi, I'm Roland Hiller, Chair of Systems and Structure Committee, and tonight you're going to hear my opinion whether you like it or not. 2013 and 2014 has been an extremely productive year for the Systems and Structure Committee. In a year where stagnating projects finally got some legs and many new projects came to the table, the committee has been researching, analysing, developing projects. A key project that has been on the table for a few years is the interior lighting project, and I'm happy to say that it's going to come to fruition within a month or so. If you want to go to Building 3 on the 8th floor, you'll see a display of the lights there. Okay, we also have the exterior lighting project, which is underway, which is also a new project which is going to save us a lot of money. We did the lobby furniture, which everyone can witness, so we kind of had a lot of fun doing that because we were able to kind of play with materials and colours. Gave us a bit of a reward. Also, I'd like to report that the sanitation refuge area has become a real thing too now. Some of you might appreciate that the rats are gone. Thank you. And we will look forward to beautifying the area and making it, a very attractive part of Morningside Gardens. The other thing I wanted to report on is that some of our members go to the local Law 11 meetings, which are held every month, the progress work, and we're happy to report that it is almost completed, bar the commercial roofs, which will take another few months. So I would think mid-year we'll have the scaffolding gone, and we can get back on with our lives. I'd just like to add also that if there was any kind of issue with the company's taking too much time and spending too much money. The fact is that totally professional outfit, and so are the architects. Also, I would like to just finish up by saying that I'd like to thank Russell Germain, the GM, for all his assistance, and also the board for making such rational decisions as passing all the things that came from the committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Roland. Thank you very much. And our next chairperson will be the co-chair of the Tenant Selection Committee, Yvonne Martin Katsura.
Here I go again, trying to get the co-chair to do it, but it wasn't happening. Oh, thank you already, thank you. The Tenant Selection Committee acts on behalf of the Board of Directors, and they vet the potential stockholders, examine applications of internal transfers, and reviews requests for stock modifications, sublets, paying roomers, and co-residencies. Applications have been trending upwards. The committee has been reviewing 5 applications per month on average, which is up from 3 per month a year ago. A typical application looks like this. Okay, this is what we do. Committee members are responsible for reviewing, assessing, and evaluating the information contained in these binders before a scheduled meeting. So we're looking at this application. There are a lot of sections: transaction documentations, banking documentations, financials, income, recommendations, work history, etc., etc. And one of the requirements of being on the committee is that you're able to lift 3 of these at a time. Work out, we have a gym. Another thing is that because we have to look at these binders before a scheduled meeting, we have a meeting once a month. So, and these are only available between 9 and 5 because they do contain a lot of confidential information and they're locked up tightly in the sales and transfer office. However, we've made it more attractive for full-time people who work full-time who are on our committee, and now they can come in on a Sunday because the sales and transfer office is showing apartments. We have open houses every Sunday, so if you're thinking about being on the committee and you work full-time, fear not, there's time for you to come in and look at these binders. Although the committee is ultimately responsible for and carries out the actual screening of applicants, the Sales and Transfer Office plays a critical role in the process. It's responsible for administering all aspects of sales, including underwriting, compiling the information that's in these binders, and providing potential shareholders with essential information. In addition, it handles requests for transfers, stock modifications, sublets, paying roomers, and co-residencies. So we have the easy part, we just have to read it. They've got to compile it. In January 2013, 52 apartments were on the market, and by the end of the year, the corporation closed on 39 apartments. 28 of those came from the Sales and Transfer Office, and 11 from outside brokers. In 2014, we started out with 29 apartments on the market. To date, we have had 10 closings, and 8 of those closings were originated from the Sales and Transfer Office, and 2 from outside brokers. Right now, we have about 25 apartments on the market because 11 have been added since January, but there's a lot of movement and a lot of interest in our community, and they just keep moving, which is a great thing. The decisions of the Tenant Selection Committee are, the decisions the Tenant Selection Committee makes are closely tied to the House rules, to the bylaws, and to board resolutions. Since the decisions by one impacts the other, one of our goals, the committee's goals, is to create synergy among the Tenant Selection Committee, the Policy and House Rules Committee, and the Board of Directors, so that changes in policy are in line with current House rules and bylaws. And if there needs a policy change, if there's a policy change that's needed, it will go through the proper channels and procedures. Everyone will be informed. So the board, the tenant selection committee, et cetera, will be making informed decisions, and that will become the rule and not the exception. I'd like to thank my co-chair, Tova Frankus, and the committee members for their time, effort, and above all, their dedication. And I'd like to give a special shout out to Frank Aguilar and Karina Kaba of the Sales and Transfer Office, not only for putting this together for us and doing all the other paperwork that we just have to read and analyze, but for the support and the availability they give to our committee. Thank you. And Frank, you can have your
Thank you, Yvonne. We're now to the highlight of the evening, the question and statement period. I'm going to ask John Carter to chair this part of the meeting.
All right, good evening, everyone. I also want to thank you all for being here, taking the time out to come to this important meeting. This is the question and statement and answer time. As always, we're going to take questions, statements from members of the audience. We have mics in the middle aisle. We'll alternate between the mics. As always, there's going to be as always, I'm going to ask you to state your name and the building that you live in. And as always, there's going to be a 2-minute limit on your question or statement. Now, when the timer goes off, I, of course, am not going to interrupt you right then, but I just ask you please to keep that in mind, and that if you are speaking when the timer goes off, I'm just going to ask you to wrap up whatever it was you were saying. Wrap up your thought. Okay? It's not that we're trying to be rude, but we just want to make sure that everybody has a chance to speak. Now, this period goes for, I thought it was 30 minutes, but the agenda says 35. So whatever it is, we can start. And Officer Baez, I'm sure Captain Montalvo doesn't want you to stand the whole time. Sit down. All right, so whoever wants to speak first, we're up.
Good evening, Andrea Brecker, Building 2. My question is regarding the Dwayne Reed commercial space. I wonder if there's something you can tell us that's for public consumption regarding the status. Last I think we heard was at the February board meeting about a quarter of the space being up for lease negotiation, and I'm just curious to know where that stands. And I also have a suggestion regarding the space, which is that someone could possibly hose down the sign that has the realtor's name, because it does look like it's been here for a year and it's not very appealing. I think it shows that the space has been vacant for a long time. So that's a suggestion. Okay,
my job is going to be just to direct these questions to the best person who I think can answer it, and we'll go to Russell. You want to speak to that?
Yes, you are correct. 1/4 of the space is under lease. We're currently working with our architect to build a demising wall and divide up the space. Another 2/4 of the whole original space is actually getting close to coming to fruition in a lease, which would leave approximately a 1,500 square foot space. I'd just like to add, I think in 1 year's time, approximately a little over 1 year's time, to get 2 renters in that space with the amount of vacancies I've seen in this neighborhood, I think it's pretty impressive. So we are moving forward with that.
Thank you.
And thank you for your suggestion about cleaning the sign down. That's definitely something we can take care of.
Sir?
Sure. Jonathan Bronstein, Building 83. Well, the previous questioner took my first question, so I'll go to my second one instead. There's obviously been a lot of discussion about the chimney, and how we got to where we are doesn't concern me at all. But there's also been discussion about what, if anything, can be done to make it look better than it currently does. It was implied somewhere that it could be made to look better. I can't imagine how that would work, but I would love for someone to explain it because I live in that building and it doesn't look very good.
Larry, want to speak to that? Sure.
Chimney, the chimney that was chosen, there were two types of chimney, metal chimneys that were chosen. One was a painted chimney and one was stainless steel. Stainless steel has a finish on it. It's impossible to treat that chimney with the finish because it's stainless steel. And I asked around, I've asked a lot of questions about this. There is nothing we can do unless you want to spend maybe another $1 million or so to encapsulate that pile of metal. So we are going to be stuck with this chimney for approximately it's about 2 years it's up, so we got 23 years to go. And I think you're young enough, you'll be here, you could probably make sure it'll be a brick chimney, because I'll probably be like being taken care of in a home. So I just, you know, something to look forward to as an adventure in Morningside Gardens.
Did we answer your question?
Did I miss anything?
I mean, I feel satisfied that you answered my question. I assume that there's another opinion out there, and I'm curious if there's another opinion that's
About
whether or not the chimney can be, you know, in any way masked or beautified.
No. Russell, you want?
I can comment on that. You know, the way I see it is anything is possible with the right amount of money. What can reasonably be done at this point in time? There are options. I am talking to a couple people in the industry, different architects, not just our current architects, other property managers who may have gone through something similar. Ultimately, anything can be changed, but it will come with a price tag, and that will be a decision for the board at that point in time.
Dan? We got one more speaker.
Yeah, so I asked this question at the last board meeting, because I thought we should start thinking about it now that if we're gonna be fixing the chimney during the heating season, after the heating season's off, we should start looking at mitigation, and Russell said just that. And so I think that, that the notion of the president throwing out $1 million, it's gonna cost us at least $1 million to make this thing look better. I'm not sure where he bases this on, but I think we should be doing some thorough but fast research to see how we can make it look better. When we originally selected this chimney, the idea and what our advisors and contractors told us was that you can put a cover over it, and that was always something that we had under consideration.
We're all gonna work together on this, right? Okay, sir?
Yeah, my name's David Basker. I live in Building 5. Reluctant public speaker, but give us a try. I've kind of a request at the end of where we currently, I guess. Can you hear me? Is this okay?
Yeah.
Better? Okay. Let's see. Last week I went with a group to Albany to lobby our state legislators to allow our city council to set city speed limits at 20. Incredible, but true. Families for Safe Streets were among the members. They've lost people in their lives dear to them because of reckless drivers, speeding drivers, and they made a very good case, which I am totally in support of. And my point here as it relates to us is that I'm a cyclist. I'm an avid bicyclist, fanatical even, some would say. And I think Morningside should encourage bicycling. We've cleaned up those dilapidated bike racks. I'm sure a lot of people are relieved, even I'm relieved. What I would like, what I think a lot of us cyclists would like, is a precious basement space for our bicycles. I moved to the Gardens in 2008, pretty lousy timing in a way. We just gone market rate. Maintenance costs started rising at about that point. Nevertheless, I love living here. I love my studio apartment facing Amsterdam Avenue, though it does. But I don't want to cohabit with my bicycle in my studio apartment. So let's please move toward freeing up, not freezing, please. It's been frozen for quite a while. freeing up those spaces. If you gotta buy just in a basement space, just languishing there, you know, best case scenario, make use of it, start using it. Get out in this wonderful city and start biking. If you're a motorist here at the Gardens, you know, I won't second guess you. You know, you've got your reasons, okay? New York City is the capital, America's capital of mass transit. I'm sure you've got good reasons for driving the city. What I would ask you is to drive, to set the standard out there on these mean streets. Amsterdam Avenue is one of them. Don't be the guy leaning on your horn. Don't speed. Show patience where most drivers, in my experience, do not. That said, I'm a pretty impatient cyclist. So at this point, you know, I just want to encourage everyone to try out cycling in the city. We should promote cycling more than we do driving here at the Gardens. We're a very progressive community, and let's make that part of it.
Thank you very much. Is there any way we can make that right?
Thank you. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Good, this one works. I have 3 points. First one is I'd like to thank all of Marco Hernandez, Building 5. Thank all of my neighbors who have served on the board this past term for all the time and energy that we put into it. Second point is about the bicycles. I know there's a huge demand. I don't know if anyone on the board has looked into what you find at different train and mass transit stations around the city, where you can rent bike lockers that are outdoor, but they're waterproof and secure. And it might also be something that the board might want to look at as a potential revenue generator as well. Just something to throw out there. The third question or statement is probably more directed at Russell than anything else. On the 30th of April, we experienced a lot of water damage coming in from the north and the east walls of our apartments. And we contacted the office and went down and spoke to folks, and one of the staff members came up and took pictures, reached out to my insurance who was looking for more information, but we haven't heard anything back. And I was wondering if you had anything to add, or are you going to be coming out with some kind of statement or getting back to us in any way, shape, or form? Thank you.
In your specific case, I don't want to get too involved in your specific apartment, but in a general sense, there was approximately 10 apartments that did experience some kind of water penetration from the last rainstorm. Each one is being looked at independently and being observed by our architect. So we haven't made an appointment to see your particular unit. We will very shortly. It's been a while, so I'm surprised we haven't got to that level with you, and I'll be glad to look into that and expedite that for you.
Thank you.
Sorry. Here before me. She was here before me.
No, we're going on side by side.
Paul Nappersteck, Building 1. The previous speaker reminded me of one transportation-related question that I had. My car died about 8 years ago, and since then I've been using Zipcar. And I usually pick it up at a garage across the street on 122nd. It's not too inconvenient, but it would be even better if we had maybe a couple of stalls in our own parking garage, because then it would be like everybody in Morningside would have their own car at their disposal. I can imagine that it might be a little bit difficult because we've got the waiting list for parking spaces, and I don't know how that could be freed up. But I just wondered if anybody had ever suggested that, if the board's ever considered that as something that could, you know, benefit a lot of people in the Morningside community.
Well, we haven't at this time, but that's certainly something that we can think about in the future. Appreciate that. Cynthia?
Hi, Cynthia Taylor, Building 4. I have 2 questions. One is Marco raised the issue of water damage, and I know that some of the apartments that were damaged were in Building 4. And I think it's just kind of interesting that we just spent $9 million on Local Law 11, which everybody said is finishing up and everything is great, but no one mentioned this water damage. I want to know, how can, after spending $9 million, can we be having water damage and be at the end of the Local Law 11 process? That doesn't make any sense to me. And the second question has to do with our interior public hallways. It's great that we're getting new lights, but what about a paint job? And what about replacing the molding on the bottom where it's being held up by masking tape or it's missing? I think our public hallways look terrible. And I'm hoping that there's some money in the budget for us to include that. But that's more of a statement. I really am interested in wanting to know what is the source of this water damage and how can this be happening after we've spent over $9 million in like 5 years on local law 11.
Someone asked me that same question. Appreciate that.
Completely understand your point. It's a very good point you're making. However, I would like everyone to really understand what happened over the last 4 to 5 years of local law 11. Areas were looked at and identified that needed to be either re-bricked, the mortar replaced, or some repairs in some fashion or another. You have to understand that wasn't done throughout every single brick and every single facade of the property. It was only what was inspected and identified as a problem at that point in time. Even in the last 5 years, since it was originally scoped what needed to be done for the local law project, you have 4 to 5 years more of deterioration in areas that haven't been addressed. Local law 11 is an ongoing thing. Or is it going to be as extensive? No, you got yourself to a really good level, a really good plateau that you could build on. Every 3 years, we're going to have to cycle through, have an inspection, and more than likely some repairs are going to have to be made. Specifically to this issue on the water penetration, as I stated previously, I don't have an exact answer on how the water got in. We have it being looked at by our architects now, and we'll respond accordingly to those residents.
Does anybody want to address the issue of the public calls, maybe systems and structures or whatever group is in charge of that?
The public hallways have been on at least my agenda and Systems and Structures Committee's agenda for 2 years. Problem is that there was no money to do that major overhaul, which we all desired to be done. It was not in the original budget turned over to the board that's in office at this time, and it's something that's going to cost a great deal of money to do. It's not just a matter of, it's going to require, after the lights are put in, to pick a color, to change the door, to fix the floor because the asbestos tiles aren't satisfactory, to change the molding along the side, the baseboard, that's the plastic baseboard, and change that. I would love to do it tomorrow, but this is a very extensive job that requires a lot of money. And until we finish the top 4 projects that are going on at this moment, which is the BMS conclusion, the sanitation solution, the exterior lighting, and the interior lighting, those are the 4 biggest. Once we finish those and we see where our finances are, then the Long Range Planning Committee or Systems and Structure Committee will make a recommendation as to how we should proceed, and hopefully it's something that can be done in the next few years. But there's no saying until we get through paying these large bills that are coming up.
I just want to say, there's an article in the Times today about how areas in the Northeast are going to be hit with these huge downpours, more intense downpours. So I think we really have to deal with this, rainfall and flooding issue. So,
Neil Rothfeld, Building 2. First a comment. I've been here for 27 years, and I find it disappointing that there's such a low turnout. But my theory is it's a result of the corrosive effect that all our fighting that the different sides have taken, and the ill feeling back and forth between us. I hope we can work on mending that, and starting out by doing something that we did not too long ago in all our history, and that is for not for people to be running on slates and one side against the other, but maybe next year people will run on their own individual merits. merits and campaign in that way. And I think there'll be a better effect on the whole. My question is about recycling. We do pretty well with the closets in the individual halls, and when it breaks down, at least on my floor, I know the sign goes up in the closet, and reminding not to put newspapers in the bags, not to put garbage in the recycling bins, and it usually takes care of it. But the situation in the laundry room it's always been a mess. I mean, basically you're dealing with the recycling of the detergent bottles, plastic detergent bottles, yet everyone just throws everything in together in the pail right outside the room, in the different pails that are supposed to be recycling pails. Nothing is marked, nothing is clear as to what goes in, and I guess I would direct it to probably Russell. How can we make that better so it's really a real recycling system in the laundry room as well, so that it's not a garbage system, and is it left for the porter to clean up the mess, or does everything just get thrown out? So what can we do to improve that system?
The best thing I can say off the top of my head would just be more signage and better receptacles so that people can identify in the laundry room. Maybe it's an assumption on my part that people know what the recycling rules in New York City are. If they're doing it upstairs in their apartment, that should be extended by virtue of that down to the laundry room. But we can definitely do better signage and better identification of the different receptacles and how to handle that. And it's definitely something we can do.
If you could do that, that'd be good.
Absolutely.
Don't bother you, Russell. Stay there. My name is Vincent Miller from Building 4, Apartment 18C. I was a past member of the System Structure Committee. I know all about the construction and everything. I have to go back to these two people, especially Cynthia talking about the money. My building is on line C. My neighbor's line B. Water came in on us also. I know for sure that the contract work was done, because I saw them daily. In fact, when the brickwork was almost finished, they did not put in the final margin between the bricks, and I contacted the contractor, and he told us we'd come back later to do that. So work was done.
Sure.
And so after what Cynthia says, the work was done. Where's all this water coming from? And it's not building, I think, 10th floor, there's one guy at buckets of water. I have water. Your man came up and looked at it and said, okay, what can we do? No, sir, I can dry it up. And then I called maintenance 2 days later and said, we do meeting with Brent and so forth. And I understand this takes time. But no inspectors come to actually look, to see. Because I'm an engineer. You have to come to see where the water may have come in. You have to do outside inspection, and it has not been done. And also, why do we spend all this money? Is it from the roof? We need serious investigation. So we need to do that. And somebody need to come up, because my stuff is still pulled back from the wall. And my wife is kicking me. My daughter who lives in Connecticut says, Daddy, why you put up with all of this? Okay? Don't make me beat up on you.
Agreed. I mean, I'm a little dismayed to hear from a few shareholders here that the follow-up, the initial response seemed to have been there, that the staff responded quickly. But the follow-up of the investigation portion doesn't seem to be moving along as quickly as it should.
Right.
I'll rectify.
Just come and inspect and then tell us plans, because we know it's going to take time.
Agreed. Well,
the other thing is, the second thing is our lawn, building 4 lawn, the lawn lawn. The sloop's done, and the contract work to put out of the greenery. And the last rainfall washed the mud down into the drain. Just put a temporary curve and put some little seeds. We know the planning takes a while with the grounds committee. But right now, the dirt is going down into the drain.
We'll
Go and look at it.
We'll look into that. Right?
Okay, please.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments?
Yes, please. If you'll allow me to talk loudly from here, it's a short comment question, but
Go ahead.
last year there was talk about bed bugs, and I'm just wondering what the status is. Is that still an issue?
And what building are you from? What's your name?
I'm sorry, Susan Cohn, I'm in building 2.
Okay.
do not have bed bugs in any of the apartments here in Morningside. Though we have had some in the past, we had the corporation of the shareholder that had the bed bugs and the surrounding apartments where we do preventive maintenance to make sure that the bed bugs haven't spread to the surrounding apartments, but as of this moment, we're 100% bed bug free.
Hi, I have a question about, Judy Solomon, Building 6. You know, every year the workshop has, is it a fair, where the community comes out and looks forward to it. It's usually in the fall and the weather's still good, and kids even bring books to sell and all this stuff. So, and it's all volunteer for the workshop. We don't make money from it, although I'm not quite sure that in the past we were allowed to keep money if we charged for tables. So this year I know that, and if someone correct me if I'm wrong about that, this year, because of the structure of the amenities committee and the board and all of this, we had to charge $20 for tables to people, and that money went to the corporation, not to the workshop. And we spend a lot of time and effort to do this for the community. Either we shouldn't have to charge $20 for the tables that belong to the corporation to bring up, because it discourages people, I think. And there should be some real appreciation from the board and the amenities committee for this community service that we all do, and somehow work with us better. So,
Dana,
Someone wants to comment, please.
Yes, we will. Dana, you want to speak to that? And John?
Okay.
Dana, one second.
Okay, sure.
That's a very good question. Thank you for bringing it up. 2 years ago, the board made a decision that we found out that a lot of the committees were being given money on a yearly basis, and they were not spending that money. And the money was accumulating in the various committee bank accounts. And so the board made a decision that on a yearly basis, the committees would be funded, and that each committee would have to come to the board and request the funds when the funds were needed. The board doesn't really monitor specifically what committees spend their money on. If you come to us with a requisition to go to dinner at per se, we're going to say no. But by and large, almost every requisition that comes before me is approved. I will have to say 95% of the committees did not spend their entire budget.
Oh, I'm not talking.
So, let me finish. If you are collecting money, it is really the corporation's money, you are collecting on behalf of the corporation. You can ask for whatever amount of money you want as a committee. If you feel next year you need more money for that fair and you're not getting enough money to run your programs or what have you, because the corporation and the board made a decision that committees cannot hold their own money in bank accounts.
I was just asking about the fact that we had to charge families who want to participate money for a table, for
But that is
tables.
your committee's decision to charge
No,
that money.
the
The board never, correct me if I'm wrong. The
In
board-
order to get the table, can I finish my
Can I speak to that?
I want to just finish the question. In order to get the table brought up here by the board, essentially, we had to charge people money.
Is that something that
Pay,
happened?
that went to the board.
But then nobody goes to the board, it goes to the corporation.
$20 table that went to the board, whereas we did all.
You're in error in how you are describing what takes place. Your committee has always charged people for the use of the table. You kept the money. The difference here now is If you want to charge for the table, that's fine. The money goes to the board because we are funding your committee.
No, we didn't want to charge.
And you don't have
Then you
to.
don't have to charge. If you charge nothing, it's fine.
The long-term history of that fair is it was run by the workshop.
Yeah, I would prefer
Oh.
if you not address that. You've been on the board for 2 years.
Well, I thought the president wanted me to answer this one question, because I'll just finish. Okay, I had been told ahead of this meeting that as amenities chair, if a question comes up on that, I would be asked to answer. So I'm just saying, the $15 rate that is charged for space on the ground and the $20 rate that's charged for the table was always in place, and that was something that the workshop set. It was never something that the corporation put on them. And it was just a decision made that is a corporation table and that is corporation space, and then there was a questioning of whether that money should then go to the corporation or to the workshop, but the rate that was charged never was from the corporation.
Thank you, Jen. Yes, so basically, if you have that fair next year, you have no obligation to charge anything for those tables.
So we can get them for free.
Absolutely. If there are tables, and they're moved into the courtyard,
Yeah.
there's no reason why you have to charge for those tables. You're under a misconception that the board made a decision to charge you for those tables. The only thing the board decided was that committees would not have bank accounts.
No, I know.
And in fact, I encourage all the committees to come to us with budgets. You know, we have, as you can see, we had a little bit of a surplus. We encourage these types of things. I was very surprised. This was my first year as financial director. I was quite surprised that 99% of the money just went back into the corporation because the committees didn't spend it. So I encourage you to get active in the committees and start spending that money. It's your money. Yes, sir.
Hi, Michael DeMora, Building 1. There's something I noticed relatively recently. I don't know whether it's just that I'm not so observant. I was walking at night along the path in the gardens, and I noticed there was this very glaring white light shining before my eyes. And I don't know how long they've been there, but I didn't notice it much before anyway. And I was wondering about the aesthetics of that, aside from it's glaring on your eyes, because we had these charming yellow lights before. They're like old street lamps, and now you put in these white ones and they clash with each other. And the other thing is, in themselves, I think they're quite glaring. It's like, headlights which are shining on your eyes. And so I was wondering if perhaps we should have some kind of aesthetics committee to pass on these things before we install them, and I think that goes to the chimney as well.
Well, it's a temporary fix. We're working on the outdoor lighting is a big project that we're working on.
Yeah, but I mean, we used to have these yellow lights which are very charming, and then we put in this different color altogether, and they clash with each other.
Okay.
And besides the white lights themselves, they don't think look that great. So I don't know if you can do anything about them.
Thank you.
And then it's another expense if you change them.
Yes.
Sheila Geis, Building 1. It's an environmentally sensitive question. I get emails from various, environmental groups that suggest that I can get my electricity through renewables, and see that our electricity is provided through renewable energy. And since I don't handle my electric bill, and it's done through the corporation, I was curious as to when you deal with our electric bill, do you specify that our source be renewable, whether it's solar or wind?
From that perspective of whether it's a renewable, we have to opportunity to elect whether it's a renewable resource or not?
Yes.
Specifically, no. The way we're purchasing our energy currently is through an aggregation program, which is a consortium of many properties all together buying energy units, whether it be thermal for gas or electric BTU, kilowatts per hour. So no, at this point in time, we don't have an opportunity to define which type of energy.
Is there a way that you could?
There's definitely things that we are looking into from that angle on different energy fronts, but nothing specific yet.
I think this is a suggestion that you work in that direction sooner
Absolutely.
than later.
Absolutely, thank you.
Okay, we have, it looks like maybe 3 more speakers, and then that's going to be it. So,
yes, Jens Han, Building 6. On this question of energy and electricity, as we all know, electric cars are becoming more and more popular. Is there any consideration of making it possible to plug in an electric car in the garage?
electric car?
Yes, electric cars.
Cars?
Short answer is no. We're not looking into that possibility at this point in time. I do have some experience where I did look into this for another property at one point, and it was, quite honestly, it was not cost beneficial to the corporation at that time, and it was about 4 years ago. Maybe there are new technology advancements, and maybe there's going to be a larger interest of shareholders wanting an electric car type station. If that comes up, that'll be something for the board to discuss, and the management can look into it.
Let me just mention that Tesla puts out an all-electric car, and what it requires is a 220-volt plug-in.
Thank you.
Hi, Susan Miller, Building 5. So this goes back to the whole question about the workshop, but not just about the workshop. I think the question about whether you take money for tables, or whether we request money for you, or whether one can have independent bank accounts. I think there's been a huge change over the past years. And the workshop, for instance, was an institution that had its own constitution and bylaws, and was something that was started from the ground up, as was the Family Activities Committee. And I feel that this whole way of streamlining things up to the top is kind of problematic. And the problem with it is that I don't think it encourages the kind of grassroots involvement of community in the same way. So I know the workshop had like a $500 budget or something small like that this year. I know it's not cleaned, like maybe it's cleaned more regularly than it was, and I know a lot of things have been improved, so I'm not going down that road. But I would like to request that we reconsider why everything has to be ruled down from, and why people can't have independent organizations. Morningside, the players are independent and not interfered with. And I think that things happen in a very positive way when people are given some sense of autonomy. Maybe there can be some guidance, but there are wonderful positive things that happen with volunteerism that kind of gets tamped down. And so I would like to request and ask that that be something, that there be a task force on with people who have various opinions, and that all kind of major decisions, not just fiduciary, but decisions that really affect the social fabric of our community, involve people with different points of view to have a respectful dialogue, and that might be one way of healing the great divides that we have here.
Thank you. Did you have anything? You got one more?
One more?
Yep, you're it.
Last but not least, hi, I'm Maureen Fryer, Building 1, 11D, happen to live across the hall from Larry. So I've been here, living here 6 months, and I wanted to say thank you to all those who have welcomed me. Stellar job in the sales and transfers office. I work in affordable housing in New York, and I think it's incredible, the process and how quickly it was to get in here. Friends of mine just closed again. So, and it's a fabulous community. I I'm new. Many of you have been here decades. And it seems like folks are able to live into 100 living here, which it's a testament to what you've built. So I know I have just a couple thoughts. A lot goes on here, and I get sheets under my, door about it. And there's a donation, or what do you call it, tipping at holiday time, right? You go one place. Well, unless you have your car, then you got to take it somewhere else. And there's a lot of activities going on, and it's all by sheets. And then I understand there's like certain buildings have their own committees. So I saw a flyer about a free movie with popcorn and wine. I thought it was fabulous. I think it was in building 3 that I went to. And you know about it because you see it in the hall. But there's another way of communicating with electronically, and I don't know if we've considered a listserv for those of us who have emails and don't mind getting it, a Facebook page. Welcome to our new homeowner. This family just moved in, welcome. Or a way of upping that communication. I know we have a web page that I've gone to, but I'm not sure how it's populated. So I don't know if there's a communications committee.
There is.
There was. No.
There's not. No.
But I think we can up the game, lessen the paper. I was confused by the whole election process and the lobbying around that, still, but I'm here with my ballot. So I know I'm talking on, but first I just want to say, great community, but I think we can communicate and put this all in one place, especially for new people. Like you sometimes find out about the spring fair, or I don't know, am I allowed to go to the Chinese New Year's party or not? I sometimes walk in, and maybe it's somewhere in the States. But can we have that stuff in one place and not just all on paper?
Thank you very much.
You want to do it? You do it.
All right, ballot.
I'm so glad you asked that question, because Morningside Gardens spent a year and quite a bit of money to develop a website. It is a fantastic website. How many people here are registered for the website? It costs us $20,000 a year on printing costs every year. Get on the website. Andrea was very instrumental, there's a community calendar. All of these events can go on the calendar. There is a place to go to look for it. We are collecting email addresses. If you're a family, each person in that family can individually be on that website and receive emails. And we have the ability to send building emails, community-wide emails, all the A-line emails in a building. So we can break it down. We can communicate, and we can do this electronically, but we can't do it if people don't register and get on that. But I encourage you to sign up and put your name on it. That's one of the ways we're really trying to do this and make this very user-friendly. If you have problems signing up, you can come to the office. Russell will help you. We have people around that will help you sign up. It is a very easy thing to do. There are flyers outside that will also tell you how to sign up and create an account. And does anyone else want to add anything to that?
Yeah, just one thing. If you came in at 7 o'clock tonight, there was a gentleman outside, Adam, with 2 posters announcing if you signed up, you're in a raffle for 2 dinners, Apache dinners at Nokia. Nokia? Yeah.
Nico.
All right. I got the wrong company. Okay, Nico. So anyhow, the point that John's making and that I'm going to make is we would like every building to enter their things in the calendar so everyone can read electronically. We are using e-blasts now out of the general manager's office, out of the management office, to notify shareholders of important announcements. But we still have to have paper until we have about 80% of our population signed up for to be online. Once we do that, then we can start looking at how to cut down and stop using paper, and everybody should be looking at their phones or their iPads or their tablets, whatever you want to look at. Okay? Now, Dan Lowenstein would like to say something. Dan?
Just real quickly, somebody mentioned, when a shareholder mentioned Morningside Players before, If you haven't seen All My Sons, go see it. It is an amazing piece of theater done by our volunteers. I see Lydia here, Susanna Fraser, and a great team of cooperators operate this amazing asset we have. It is top level theater. Go see it this week.
Okay, and with that, I now declare.
If anybody else,
Oh, is there anybody else who wants to put a ballot in this box, because I'm going to close it? Okay, fair warning's been given, going once, going twice, going 3 times, the ballot box is closed. We are now adjourned. Thank you so very much.